Every single week of Survivor 49, I have been coming onto this channel to analyze the edit of every single episode of the season in order to predict who I think is most likely to win the season and other various predictions along the way. And this week is no different as I bring in my friend Carson to help me analyze the edit this week and give a little bit of unique perspective on what may be happening later in Survivor 49. Also, quick plug, please go check out Survivor Northwestern Into the Gauntlet. It is a fan-made season of Survivor that I am on. It's really good. A new episode just came out this week. It's been getting really good reviews. I personally think it's one of the best episodes of the season so far. And so I would really appreciate if you go and check it out and leave a comment saying what you thought of the episode. It would really mean a lot. And anyways, let's get into the Edgic. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, this week, we have another special guest. If you watched Survivor 48 coverage, you might have seen him. If you watched Survivor Northwestern, you may have seen him. It's the great Carson. Welcome back to talk about the Edgic for the week.
Hey, North. Excited to be back. We've got a lot to talk about today and a lot to talk about with this season. I had so much fun last time we were here, and it was so much fun reading all the comments of people saying they agreed with everything I said.
Yeah, I feel I don't remember exactly what they were saying, but I feel like you probably got kinder responses than Josiah has.
He got kind responses after the second guest appearance, though. People really liked what Josiah said.
True,
I plan on going 2 for 2, though, because my takes are great. If you go back to that video, you'll see the first comment says something like, "This guy Carson has great takes." Don't read which account posted that, though.
Jeez, I wonder if it starts with a C, perhaps.
Yeah.
But here we are this week. We lose Alex, our Northwestern king. Rip. So
colleague.
Sad.
A guy that I knew a friend of a friend of a friend of.
We were pulling for him. He's been commenting on posts from the Survivor Northwestern club and whatnot. So very sad to lose him here. I really thought, I wouldn't say I was like totally sure, but I did not think he would go out this early. I just last week locked him in as one of my like runner-up predictions. And I think it kind of makes sense. I could have seen it coming. His edit was his narrative was kind of dwindling. We weren't getting really a clear sense of who he was aligned with as time went on. But his first few episodes were just so good, especially compared to everyone else that's left in the game, that it's just kind of surprising to see him go out so early here.
Alex definitely played a game that he can be proud of and that we Northwestern alumni are proud of as well. Listen, not everybody's going to win the game. I think he was playing a winning game that had a chance to win. I think he just got caught and outplayed by a better player. And sometimes that happens. You don't need to be like the top of the whole thing. And being third place, fourth place doesn't mean that you play better than the person that's third boot once you get into the jury phase. It's just not true.
That's true.
I think that he played an excellent pre-jury. And I think that he fell on the chips side of the weaker players in the merge. Yeah. That's just who he got aligned with and who he got connected with in the swap. And unfortunately, he was a victim of that. And he got outplayed by someone like Rizo, who I think just like really has got good chops in this game. So I think he can be super proud. A lot of people leave Survivor games feeling regret, like woulda, coulda, shoulda. I think he kind of did what he needed to do. Sometimes when you play the middle, you know the risks that you're taking. And he even said it as he left. He was like, you guys got me.
I think his middle position here is interesting in that it felt like Alex, you gotta be going with those other people, like with the Rizo group, but like he was never with those people. He was always, with the yellow, people for the most part, but we never really see him like super connect with them in the way that we saw Sophie really connect with like Savannah and Rizo. But I think it was probably just hard for him to just totally cut bait and jump ship on all the people that he'd been on tribes with, kind of for no good reason really. And so I'm not sure what his thought process was in his position in the game, But I think that he just, got kind of weird position that it was like hard for, like he couldn't like really jump ship, but he also couldn't stay. And so he just ended up in that like weird middle spot. I like, listen, they made it seem like there was this big move for Rizo to take out this guy that was playing in the middle and whatnot. But I don't know if it was really the best move. Alex is like, sure, he's in the middle, but he's not like powerful in the middle. He's kind of like bottom feeder in the middle in a way that like taking out someone like that is good. Like if you're in the majority alliance, if you're Boston Rob and you want like the person that might flip on you gone, then I understand it. But like from Rizzo's point of view, they're the people that are on the bottom, quote unquote, right now. And so even if they didn't need Alex, I feel like Alex isn't going to really cause problems for them in the way that like Yellow Sophie could flip back to the original Yellow people, or Sage and Jawan could turn against them, which they've been trying to do for weeks, rather than Alex, who like Blue Sophie was never going to leave them for Alex, right? So I don't know. I felt like this was a weird decision, both from the people that ran the vote and the people like Sage and Jawan who flipped on Alex. I felt like for inexplicable reasons, really.
Yeah, if we're going through person by person who this makes sense for, I think it makes sense for a very limited number of people. I think it does make sense for Rizo and Savannah and Sophie. I know that you might disagree, but like getting through with your idol and with your advantages to get to a place where you can take control of this game, I don't give a crap who the person is going home, because I just need to put myself in a numbers position where I can have some power and take advantage of things. And if I think it's more swingable to take a bottom feeder than to take out a big dog, then I do that 10 out of 10 times so that I can set myself up for success. As far as like Sage and Jawan, I think the trend we're seeing with Sage is that the person she wants to go home doesn't go home. She keeps saying, I want it to be so-and-so, and then the rest of her alliance makes the decision, and she doesn't have that final decisive factor. I think that this is one more notch on that chain. And as far as Jawan, I think that the trend we're seeing is that someone gets in Jawan's ear, he listens, he freaks out, and he blows up a good plan over and over again. However, these two are the people that are extremely powerful. And if you're taking a Boston Rob approach, voting out somebody like Alex, who could potentially be a flipper, is the exact thing that you just recommended, right? Where it's like, you have a majority, you're fine, take out the person you don't trust, and you can still have a majority afterwards. And I don't think Sage or Jawan are in trouble at this next tribal council. I think they are in a great power position. So I actually understand why Alex went home. The dynamic that I don't get is why we didn't see anything between him and Sophie. Like, these two were supposed to be besties from the beginning of the game. They're the last two surviving members of their tribe. And then it should be some type of conclusion or climax that Sophie votes for Alex to go home. But we didn't see any of that. And I wish we'd see more of that. And I think it makes sense that the blue tribe is getting decimated except Sophie. So their initial connections aren't really playing huge factors in this game at the end of it all. But I would have liked to see her at least one confessional about her being sad or excited about, him going home. I know she talked about where her new allies are and where she needs to like make her bed, but I felt like we could have used more specifics from her, and I'm sure she talked about it. So that's the thing that I feel like I'm missing narratively from this episode. But as far as strategy goes, I think it made sense for a good amount of people. I don't know that it made sense for some of the yellow bottom feeders like Yellow Sophie, and then the yellow people that didn't vote him out. It didn't make sense for them, obviously.
The edit of this episode was very strange. There were aspects of like the edit in terms of just like how the challenge was edited and a few moments like that I thought were very interesting. But in terms of like the overall like strategic, edit, it was very odd. Like, Alex was easily the least significant person in his own boot episode.
Yep.
They talked a lot about wanting to vote out Alex, but I felt like we barely heard from Alex. We barely saw anyone talking to Alex. We didn't hear Blue Sophie talk about Alex at all. And I feel like it was just a strange way to edit his boot in the sense that I felt like the edit made it pretty clear that Alex was going home. Like, I wasn't like, I didn't really have many doubts about Alex going home at any point in the episode. so the fact that they didn't show him, like, it didn't really throw me off. It just made me be like, oh, I'm kind of sad that I'm pretty sure Alex is getting voted out at the end of this and we're barely seeing him at all. And in terms of, like, for Sophie, like, I feel like I think that, you know, we can maybe talk about it in the Contenders, but I wasn't that distraught about it. From, like, just a story perspective, I would have liked to seen her thoughts on it. But from, like, her edit versus Alex's edit, like, they were never that close or painted to be, like, a dynamic duo, really. I think I said it back in, like, episode 3 or 4, that they were kind of just, like, the two random people that happened to survive that tribe. Like, we saw multiple times Sophie be like, I don't want Alex here. I want to go with Jake. I want to go with Jeremiah. I even want to go with Nicole. Like, they weren't really, like, this dynamic duo. They weren't Malcolm and Denise. They were just, like, two random people. And so I'm not, like, that concerned that wasn't shown, because they weren't like this. I understand Sophie's relationship way more with Savannah, with Rizo, even with Nate, than I did really with Alex. But from just, like, an enjoyment perspective, I would have liked to have seen that aspect. So I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of weirdness that happened with the edit this time, and a lot of weirdness that happened with that Blue Tribe's edit in the beginning of the season. And that's what happens when you have a tribe that gets absolutely decimated and barely any of them have a chance at winning. I wouldn't be shocked if Sophie also doesn't have a great chance at winning, because they just don't have a full season long arc for any of them that they're able to build. They're all out so fast. And I think we see that pretty often with, like, the small tribes that get so little and the people don't go deep. If the couple of them end up going really far and towards the end of the game, then they have a little more continuity and they spend a little more time on their relationships.
Yeah. So, anyways, Alex in this episode, if we take a look at his confessional chart here, thanks to Just Strategic on Twitter, only 2 confessionals here, the least of the episode. I remember exactly, I don't remember what he said, but I remember the 2 moments where he had confessionals. That was like, oh, thank goodness, Alex is finally showing up. So, yeah, I mean, they definitely stood out. I mean, I really think he's not getting a great rating for this episode. No. I don't know if it was quite enough to go under the radar, but I'm thinking maybe like a middle of the road negative. What do you think?
I'm middle of the road negative or under the radar negative, potentially. I mean, 2 confessionals when there's this many people left is just a dismal amount, especially when it's your boot episode. The main thing is that we kept hearing this narrative about how he's a flip-flopper, and then they just kept showing us footage of him talking to both sides, like affirming that that was true, right? Like, it wasn't just a ploy. This was, like, really what he was doing. So I think they just wanted to show us him making his own bed. And maybe for that reason, it's more of the road, because maybe he had less confessionals, but we actually saw him. At a certain point, he even got told that his name was out there, and he didn't freak out at all. Like, if I was him, I would have been, like, way more engaged when I heard that. Especially knowing that, like, if an idol gets played, it's me, potentially, right? It has to be a perfect split vote or an idol sends me home. I would have done way more. So I don't know if he did way more and we didn't see it, or he really didn't do much at all. He just was a laid back player this episode. And if he'd been a little more engaged, it would have been a better chance for him to survive. But I'm okay with middle of the road, but I would also be okay with under the radar. And I do think it was negative. I think that they, like, proved he was a wishy-washy middle of the road player, which I guess got a negative connotation in this episode.
I thought it was so strange that we didn't see Alex, like, fight for himself or really do anything at all, even after he found out about it. Like, yes, we saw him talking to people, but none of it was, like, it didn't feel that significant. And it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere to me this episode, like this narrative that, oh, Alex is playing the middle and he's playing everybody. I was like, really? Like, well, I felt like there was no build up to that in the previous episodes.
I think it did kind of come out of nowhere, right? Like, Rizo decided, I'm going to bring this up now and we're going to make it a thing.
So, I mean, Hey, I mean, kudos to Rizo for like forcing that down all the players' throats, I guess. I can't believe it worked.
I'm very pro Rizzo. I think he's playing an extremely good game. I just think he outplayed Alex simply in this episode. His relationships were better, his timing was better, and that's why he went home.
I kind of want to give it a 3 rating, not because we saw much of Alex himself, just because we heard so much talk about Alex. Like everyone was constantly talking about Alex.
Yeah.
That like it felt like a lesser episode than the people that I give 3 ratings in the previous few episodes. Mm-hmm. But there was just so much talk about him. I feel like that brings it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, rip NU King, got the merch on to represent. You will be missed, but we will enjoy you on the jury.
We will.
And yes, you have one more thought?
Another thing that I just want to mention is something that got cut from the episode. Stuff I saw from MC was how she didn't want Jawan to go home because she didn't want a bunch of black contestants to go home in a row. And then we see 3 black contestants go home at the beginning of the jury. And I think it's interesting, and I just want to comment on Survivor not airing that type of conversation right now, as opposed to when they've had those conversations before and contestants that's mattered to them before on Survivor, and they air the conversation and how it shapes the narrative of the season. And I just want to like poke at CBS for cutting that, because I think it's important, even though our society is in a different like mental headspace right now than years ago when we were having the same conversation. And we should have the conversation every season. But to see 3 black survivors go home in a row and to have them cut MC's whole "this is why she blew up the spot" part of it, I think that that's bad editing. And I think that that's a sign of the times in a negative way. So let's call attention to it.
Yeah, I agree. When it started to seem like Alex was clearly going home this episode, I was like, ooh, knowing about what MC just talked about last week, I was like, that's not a great situation, especially since, I mean, there are certain people I'm not feeling have a great shot next week either. I mean, we'll see. But I do wonder if like purely the reason why they didn't air MC stuff was because the thing she was afraid of comes true, basically, and it's like that's a pretty negative story to show if that happens, So maybe it's better to just like let it happen rather than like highlight how bad things are going.
Yeah, this isn't.
But
I agree. And I'm not passing judgment on any of the players for the decisions that they made. I'm just commenting on the fact that apparently this was a big part of the vote the week before that we didn't get to see at all, and then it comes to fruition.
So, rip Alex.
Rip Alex, our Northwestern King, the latest in a long line of Northwestern posters.
We've had a lot of pre-jurors, too.
That's true. We're not getting our pre-jurors.
I mean, we had just Sarah Wade a few seasons ago.
That's true.
Alexis Maxwell.
Oh my God, they're all pre-jurors. You're right. They're all pre-jurors. What's the teacher? What was his name?
Max Dawson.
Max Dawson.
Well, we got 2 finalists.
That's true.
With Hannah and Ryan. So, we across the board, wide range of representation. So we're glad to have a nice middle placement, keeps the average balanced out.
That was the only alumni that I went to school with, though. And many of my colleagues on Survivor Northwestern Season 1 knew Alex personally, were in classes with him because he was a journalism major. We had a couple of journalism students. I was a, math and science guy, so we didn't end up in the same classes. But like, he is definitely like a part of the Northwestern community, and we got to chat with him, and that was really cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I loved getting to see him here. It was the first time like seeing someone live like that was, pretty recent grad. So for the first time ever, the top of the list will hopping up in alphabetical order. It's not Alex anymore.
Yeah.
Well, now all the way down to Jay with Jawan.
King Jawan. I'm so proud of Jawan. This guy rocks.
He's been killing it. Like I would say I don't know if he's making all the right moves based on like people keep flustering him into these decisions, I guess. But the fact that he's in the position he's in and he's getting a pretty good edit in the merge, like way more like, I don't know, better quote unquote than he was getting earlier on. I've been really up on Jawan the past few episodes.
I think that he executes his plans very well. It's just deciding what plan he wants to do that sometimes he gets influenced, right? Yeah. But when someone comes up to him and asks him who he's voting for, he lies effortlessly. If you watched this, like in group scenarios and stuff, he's quick on the draw. He knows how to make people feel comfortable very effectively. And he's getting a ton of information from a ton of different places. Other people are correctly assessing that him and Sage are in a power position in this game, and yet they don't give a crap. They like them. They're like, I trust them to be in a power position and advantage me, which of course can't be the case for everyone. So sure, he's got some, like, you can get a bug in his ear if you give him the most effective story. And then he runs with it and he executes that, I think, to perfection. I've been very impressed with Jawan and I'm rooting for him, honestly.
Yeah, so let's take a look at his confessionals this episode. He gets 8 confessionals, tied for the most of the week.
Yep.
I mean, this was another big episode for Jawan. I mean, would definitely go in complex personality on it.
Certainly.
Do you think there was tone this episode? I don't know if there was really too much tone here.
What stands out to me with Jawan this episode is his personal moments. Certainly at the reward challenge, when he's resistant to receiving this offer, to receiving help. And he talks about how he grew up and how much he had to provide, and really why he's here. And we see the moments during the challenges where he's speaking the names of his siblings. And it makes me want to root for him. I mean, he's clearly here for the right reasons. And everybody knows someone who could stand to take a little more assistance, right? They feel like they've got to do it all on their own. So to see this beautiful connection between him and Sage, where they're really able to bounce ideas off of each other, to see him like accept the chicken reward, and even just get a little bit of practice in what that feels like to be the one that's being taken care of. I think that was pretty cool to see and awesome to see on TV. He's a very complex person, and I think it was positive this episode for Jawan, despite the fact that he maybe, his vote got influenced a little bit. But like I said before, I think getting rid of Alex is not the worst thing in the world for him. I don't think it's this massive mistake. I guess we might live to see that not be true. Like maybe Alex would have stood by him and like hindsight's 2020. But as of right now, given the what he can see and not knowing that there's 3 advantages with this minority alliance, I think it's not the most unreasonable vote to take out a flip-floppy person at the bottom of his alliance instead of swinging when he can't split a vote between the 2 people he actually wants to vote between.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that whole, I was just thinking strategically. He had so much going on this episode. But yeah, absolutely. I think this is, I probably will go with complex personality positive 4.
He's growing. I mean, if you look at his confessionals, he got a bunch even at the beginning of the season. Really, we only didn't hear from him in the episodes right when the swap had happened and there wasn't going to be huge issues for him. But he's been very present throughout this season. He's sneakily got one of the highest confessional counts in the season. He's certainly getting a more complex edit, I think, than Sage in their duo. And I think that if anybody's like a late game boot, I could totally see it being him. I don't necessarily think that I'm predicting him to win, but that's that space where you're talking about Alex before, where like maybe they're a heartfelt like loses at Final Tribal, or maybe they get booted towards the end of the game. I could totally see that being Jawan.
I agree. He's been ramping up. I remember in episode 1, everyone was thinking Jawan, he's going out in the next 2 episodes. And look at him now. I mean, he's killing it. So
he's filling people's bags with sticks and managing votes like a pro.
So Kristina is next. Kristina, 8 confessionals out of nowhere.
Who is Kristina?
Finally pops back up.
Finally.
Holy smokes. I saw a statistic that she finally passed all the pre-jurors in the professional count just this episode, which I thought was funny. But yeah, I mean, interesting episode for Kristina. It felt like she was kind of the voice of the opposition, I guess. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that she was like painted villainously in any way. I mean, she definitely had that moment with Jawan, which was a very good moment, but it did feel like she was like painted as like, this is the enemy that the people you're supposed to be rooting for need to like take down and destroy, basically. So I would say, like, definitely nice to finally hear from her, but it wasn't necessarily in a way that was like good for her, I guess.
I mean, if the cards fall a little bit differently in this season and her alliance is the one that kind of like really steamrolls, which I don't think they're going to, I think that she would have a great chance to go deep and win this thing. We just haven't seen any of her, which makes me think that she doesn't even get close. Basically, she's clearly got a very kind soul, and she's got a good head for strategy. Her allies are just not effective. And she's not extremely effective at accomplishing her strategic goals. I think she knows what she wants to do. She just can't make it happen. This is a couple times in a row that she's wanted to make a move and it hasn't worked out. She wouldn't have wanted MC to go, I tell you that. So I think it was a positive episode for her. And it's not often that you get a positive look on a vote where you're on the wrong side of it by a pretty large chunk, including like losing one of your tribe mate allies in the process. And I think that she was a complicated person for the first time in this episode. If not complicated, I don't know what.
I think literally the first time. This will be her first complex personality right this season. I would argue that I think it was a mixed tone, however, in that she did have those very positive moments on the mats, but I also think there were aspects of her needing to be kind of like taken down by the underdogs, but also that she kind of wasn't having the best reads on some of the situation. I felt like there was this scene where she goes and talks to Soph, or Blue Sophie, and was kind of like spilling beans to her, and it was kind of like, I mean, it wasn't like painted super bad, but to me, I was like, what is she doing talking to Soph right now? Like this, you are not doing the right stuff here, to accomplish the goal. Like I get like, you gotta, get yourself out there to make it happen. But I was like, this is not going to go well for you, here. And so, like, I wouldn't say it was like there was a ton of negative, but I feel like it was enough, like, of her just being on the wrong side, and that makes me want to give it a mixed tone.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah, the conversation with Soph was very interesting to me because I have this term. It's called like survivor tact, and it's like how you execute what you're trying to do. And I think that she doesn't have great survivor tact, unfortunately. She's got it in her head, and then the execution is where it lacks. So a better player might have been able to convince Soph that a split vote is the right move, and that they're not sending Rizo home, but they are eliminating an idol that is really dangerous. Or a better player would have had a relationship with Soph earlier. I think her relationships have been deep, but very limited to her alliance in a way that other players have been able to reach outside and get to know people that they're not necessarily planning on working with. And then it works out for them when they need to work with that person. She doesn't have that. Yeah.
Also, she reached out to Soph to get her in on the split vote, and then split the vote on Soph and voted for her. So I don't think that's a relationship that's going to go very well in the future.
See, the conversation there could be the votes being split between the two of you. I couldn't do anything about that. If you want to stay, you should put a vote on Rizo, and then maybe they've got one left. I don't know.
Hey, that might have worked better, honestly. Are we thinking of 4 for Kristina? She's pretty involved.
She was pretty involved. I mean, she definitely had a lot of personality moments and strategy moments this episode. The strategy didn't work out, but she was there. So a 3 or a 4. I'm fine with either.
let's give it. I feel like this was a pretty big episode for most people other than Alex, really. So
Yeah, she's going to be gone soon. So maybe they,
yeah.
I think,
it feels like the bubble.
Yeah, where you get a
We'll-
lot of content right before you are out is my instinct.
yeah. But moving to speaking of big episodes, Rizo, Rizgod. This was a fantastic episode for Rizo. He got so much content. He was the guy making the move. Shockingly, had less confessionals than Kristina and Jawan somehow, but still 7 confessionals. He's right up there with them.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if when we get the chart that is the actual time, confessional time, if he ends up at the top there, because it just felt like he was all over this episode. And hey, I mean, it worked out. His plan worked. So
The editors are certainly giving him credit for this through and through. Every single person says this is Rizzo's move, including Rizo. One comment I want to make about Rizo. Rizo is a friend of a friend. He was saying the Rizgod thing before Riz was even a slang term. I just want you guys to know that he predated Riz as a slang term. This is how he is. So I'm a big Rizzo fan. He is an Orger. And so he's clearly got experience playing these types of games. He doesn't get rattled when he's down. He executes. He is the opposite, where his tact is great. He knows exactly who to talk to at the right time, and he knows what to say to convince them to do what he wants them to do. And guess what happens when you send home the person you want to over and over? You're left with a bunch of your allies that still like you, that want to work with you, and you have a ton of options. Right now, I think he's just eliminating the people that aren't his people. He doesn't care who they are. And
That's
if
true.
he can get through a couple more of those, he gets to a very advantageous position with a chance to win the game. Does he win the game? Potentially. I don't know. He's got a great edit so far. But I think he will certainly be in the conversation. I think if you put Rizzo on 20 different Survivor seasons, he has a chance to win the game in probably 12 to 15 of them. Like he strikes me as a very consistent player who's got a great foundation, and he executes. He was able to get the Majority Alliance, which was people he just met, 2 episodes in a row to do what he wanted to do without needing to play his idol. And he didn't even feel nervous. So I think that he's probably the most talented player on the island, I think. I think his allies are benefiting from being allies with him. I think they're surviving because of his execution. He's effortlessly charming. And he's really he's just crushing it. I think he's just crushing it.
Yeah, and I think that like he seems to just have such a unique mind for what's going on as well, in the sense that he chooses such interesting people to target. I think both MC and Alex were like not obvious people at all. MC, I thought, was absolutely the best person to target, and I was shocked that he was able to make that happen. Alex, I said I was a little bit more unsure, but I still think, again, the sense of take out someone that people aren't expecting to go, that is not really on my side, keep me alive, save the idol. I think that that's all good. I think that I'm interested on tone this episode for Rizzo. I think I'd probably still go complex personality. I don't know if we're in over the top category.
I think he's more over the top when he's doing his slogan. This was just classic Survivor gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking maybe a positive tone because it gave him so much credit. It really made him look like a good player here. But I also think there was a little bit of the kind of like sneaky, schemy music playing when he was doing his stuff. So I don't know if that's enough to give him a mix. What do you think?
I mean, I think that he's a villain. Like in his soul and in his execution, it just so happens that he is an underdog, so we're rooting for him. But I think that if the Red Tribe was kind of the overdogs right now, he'd be getting a total villain at it, and he'd be doing the exact same thing. But listen, you got to be a villain on Survivor sometimes if you want to get your hands dirty and get the job done. So I think that he's mixed or positive in this episode. I feel like the editors want us to root for him when they have the moment. It was either in this episode or the teaser where it's the three of them, and he's like, "We're the most powerful trio in this game," and I'm like, "That's right." You guys are the most powerful trio in this game, and I expect you guys to come out on top of what the next couple of episodes has in store for us. So I would say he verges on arrogant at times, but he backs it up. So I'm not going to count that against him when he's executing and he's calling himself, "It's my episode, it's my game," and then he does go like take care of business. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we'll give him the positive. Why not? Good episode.
I just like his vibes too. Some people are just annoyed by the way that he talks and the way that he carries himself, which is fine. You don't need to like be everybody's favorite player. But I like the oomph that he brings to the game.
Speaking of oomph, Sage is next on the list. I don't know about Sage this episode. I mean, she does get 5 confessionals, which isn't terrible. But I feel like much like last week, I felt like she kind of was in the back seat here and let Jawan really like kind of steer the direction that their duo was going. I mean, I'm feeling like we're in similar like middle of the road kind of territory here for Sage. What do you think?
I think so too. Like I said before, Sage has strong opinions, and then they don't show up on the parchment paper at Tribal Council. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, she's not the person making the calls in the Alliance. And the way that she's being presented, I don't know that that's going to change. She's not making comments like, "I'm willing to bide my time and let them have it this time, but I'm going to get the person out that I need to soon." She keeps saying like, "I want Savannah so bad," and that doesn't happen. I mean, obviously Savannah has been safe, but then she's like, "I want Rizo," and then Rizo doesn't happen. So she is someone that is in a great position. She's got really good connections. A lot of people are telling her a lot of stuff, but if you can't do anything with all that information and power, you're going to end up losing the game because other people are going to position themselves better than you, and you get a little bit further into the game and suddenly you aren't as necessary anymore and you're gone. You don't have the people there that you were trying to protect, and you don't have the people out that you wanted out. So I don't think that she's long for she's probably in the game for a little while longer, but I don't think that she's got a really great chance to win. And I would say this episode she got some positive and some negative screen time. The time that she read that Savannah gave Mean Girl energy, and then she said, "But so do I sometimes," read to me like a negative moment for her, even though I think she was trying to be like.
I believe that was last week, though.
Oh, was that? I think she said it 2 times in a row.
Kristina said it this week that Savannah had Mean Girl energy. I think Sage's confession was last week.
That's besides the point. I think that the Mean Girl energy on Savannah will unpack when we get to Savannah. But I think that her commentary on people and why she wants them out feels maybe emotional in a way that they're not presenting it with in the same way with Jawan, but they can only work with the confessionals that they get given. So I don't know. I don't think that she got as positive of an episode as Jawan, certainly, even though they're tied at the hip.
I feel like I go a middle of the road toneless 3 here. I don't really feel like there was a ton this week that really dragged me in one direction or other. I don't really remember her talking about Savannah that much this episode. I mean, I'm sure she had something where she was like, "I want to vote her out," but nothing like new that I learned about her opinions on that, I guess. And yeah, I don't think there's anything too much one way or the other. Do you have any disagreements?
Just that it's funny that her blackhead pimple popping jar came back up.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
They did have that where she said she wants to make Savannah a blackhead in a jar.
Which so is hilarious to me.
I guess that was something.
We're all in a metaphor off on Survivor, and your tribe mate brings out the pimple popping metaphor, and you're like, "Crap, there goes my screen time."
Yeah, so I mean that was something, but I didn't think it was too toneful.
Yeah,
speaking of Savannah, here we are with Savannah. Definitely a cool down episode for her. I mean, she had like one of the biggest episodes of the new era, probably last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's good. I mean, if we take a look at the chart here, I believe she has 3 confessionals, which is on the lesser side of the episode,
Mm-hmm.
which honestly I think is pretty good for her. I think it makes it feel like she's probably not going out soon. It wasn't like a bubble in the way that maybe Kristina is. But even the content we did get from her this episode, I still felt like was pretty good. We still saw her bond further with Soph, where she reveals
Mm-hmm.
her history as a reporter, and we also saw her like kind of talk about her story again, as she talked about last week of being bullied or whatever the term is at her work, and how she has trauma from that. So, I mean, we're still getting those residual positive vibes from the previous episode. And I think this episode just further cemented the people that are calling her a mean girl and whatnot as the enemy that you're not supposed to root for. And you're kind of like, hey, stop calling her a mean girl, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it.
That's the way that they're leading us, certainly, which makes me think that she goes far, and she's one of the people that I think could win this thing. Um, I do think that like when you listen to her confessionals and stuff, she is kind of mean. Like I
Yeah,
can,
a little bit.
like she is a villain, and that's okay. Bring back villains on Survivor. I think that my take is that the editors are struggling with someone who is a true-blooded villain, who they haven't had in a while, who they want people to like. Like they want us
Mm-hmm.
to like Savannah, and it's complicated because she's giving us like snarky confessionals, and when she talks to people it doesn't always feel genuine. So the people that are calling her a mean girl, like I can see what they're picking up on because she's kind of mean. I don't want to like define her as a mean girl. That might be excessive. But she's certainly a villain, and they're picking up on that in game and outside of game. So they have to give her these moments with something as silly as, oh, by the way, I was a reporter, to be this massive, heartwarming moment. It's like anytime someone reveals their job on Survivor and they've been hiding it, I find it so silly. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
I do not care that you are a reporter. That doesn't matter to me at all.
That's not even like it's not even a job that like is historically something people
No.
worry about. Like
there are maybe a couple of jobs in Survivor history that have had bad track records or something. But then there's, for every one person who's hiding their job for a genuine reason, there's 4 people that are hiding completely normal jobs that they don't need to hide.
yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. At this point, I find it funny, because if I don't find it funny, I'm going to find it sad that that's such a like niche in Survivor. But her revealing that she's actually a reporter, it even like I think that Sophie appreciated that she was hearing a secret, but when she was telling Sophie didn't care at all. You could see on her face when she's saying that, she's like, "Oh, reporter, okay, cool."
She's not even currently. She's a former reporter.
Former
like-
reporter.
Who cares?
It's like I think she was just glad to be like let in or whatever, and that's reasonable.
I think if it's specifically used as a tactic to, hey, I'm going to reveal this pointless secret to people later in the game to bond them to me, then I mean that's actually, I think it's pretty good, because I think it did make Soph be like, oh well, I'm totally with Savannah now. I think she already was, but it does bond people, even though like you're not really giving her anything. It's not like she's not going to go around and be like, Savannah's a former reporter, we got to get her out, you know.
Given that she decided to hide it, I'm glad she told Sophie and got some goodwill from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think deciding to hide it in the first place is hilariously silly. But then again, when you go through the Survivor casting process, I'm sure that they hammered down, you have to hide your job, because they love that story beat.
I mean, we have seen like I think like salesmen are probably like the thing we've seen the most in the new era, at least. The people are like, they're in sales, we gotta take them out. But like I feel like we keep seeing lawyers hide their job, and I don't know if we've ever seen someone be like, they're a lawyer, we gotta take them out. I mean,
oh my god, Kyle like pretending to be a teacher instead of a lawyer. I'm like, those feel equally as I'm sociable and like need the money jobs to me. It's just so insane. I've seen TikToks on this and like tweets of people making fun of this trend where people hide jobs when they don't need to. It's the two TikTok trends that I don't remember who made them, but it's the when I'm in a hiding my job secret and my competitors are Survivor contestants, and the other is when I'm in a getting bullied when I was a child
Yeah.
competition and my competitors are Survivor contestants. It's like there's just a couple of stories that Survivor really likes telling, and it's important to hear them. And I'm glad, to know what these people went through. But it's like really, like all the time. We've heard it so many times at this
we
point.
we've seen. I won't spoil other shows, but I'll just say if you know, you know. We've seen multiple secret lawyers win shows this year, so I mean it happens. So
Yeah, I just find it so funny.
I think I don't. I'm torn. I think I probably would go mixed tone on Savannah here because we still get people talking a lot of crap about her.
Mm-hmm.
I do think like her. I think the moment that I felt like the most like kind of negative was her during the challenge when she kept being like, "Just drop. I'm never dropping." And I was like, Savannah, shut up. Like, who cares? It's been 13 minutes, girl. Like
that is mean girl energy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, it is. Like you are a villain. Embrace it. Like it's fine. I love watching villains. But yeah, that's negative. Like the way that they edited it even was like, intense.
But I think we still get some positive from her talk with Soph and whatnot. That gets brought up again. The debate for me is whether we go complex or middle of the road here. Do you have an opinion?
Potentially middle of the road. She gets a lot of complex episodes. I don't think we got as much from her this one. If anything, I would say she's complex because of her conversation with Sophie, adding a layer there. Because I don't think that she was a key part of the strategy this episode at all. The way it was presented, this was all Rizo. So, yeah.
I think she can afford a middle of the road mixed episode. It's fine. Honestly,
here's the thing. She's one of the people that I think might win this game. There are a couple that I'm considering there. And it's like, she's got a lot more negative content than the average winner is one of the things that's holding me back the most on that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But they can only film and screen the confessionals that they get given. So if you're given sassy confessionals, that's all they can do.
I'm feeling probably a 3 on it. I feel like everyone got pretty decent content this episode, honestly.
Except
I don't
Alex.
think anyone. Yeah. Alex is only not a 2 because they just kept saying his name like a million times. But I feel like everyone else, is at least 3s really this episode. So I'd probably give it a 3. I felt like I remember more about Savannah than Sage this episode, and we have Sage at 3. So
I might not say everyone's a 3 this episode. I think there's 2 of the 3 left got less content. But let's just move on to Sophie.
Sophie.
Who's one of the ones
as
I think was a 2.
You think you go 2 on Soph this episode?
That's my
she gets 5 confessionals in this episode. I felt like we saw her have multiple pretty significant conversations here. Her talk with Savannah, as we just mentioned, was pretty big. We also talked about her discussion with Kristina that I felt like was pretty significant.
I guess, but did they do anything with it? Like, I didn't see her go on from that conversation and then go fill in. I didn't see her go fill in. I guess I saw her fill in Savannah very briefly, but then it felt like it was out of her hands. Like, I don't think that she was credited as a driving force. Maybe she's a 3. Like, maybe we can give her a 3. But in the same sense as Savannah, this was not her boot that she took accountability on, even though it was her OG tribe mate. This was Rizo's.
That's true. I do think there was stuff lacking, but I do think there were still elements of like her talking about. I can't remember specifics, but there were things where I remember her talking to Kristina and these things. I was like, she had stuff like, I'm figuring out where to go and what to play, and I'm using this information. Like, people are giving me all this information, and I'm using it to forward my game. I felt like we still got pretty decent content from her talking about how she's going to forward her individual game, even if she wasn't like the most involved in what was going on. Again, like, I feel like, this episode was focused on Rizo in their alliance. So Savannah and Sophie were bound to get a bit less, but I still feel like, she definitely got way more than last week, and she got 2 last week. So I think.
I'm willing to concede that we can give her a little more screen time. I just didn't get the depth of complexity from her this episode. But you know what? Maybe you don't need to be in the driver's seat every single vote. And she's done a really good job of being present and loyal and having the right skills to advance her alliance. She is another person alongside Rizzo that I think is one of the most talented, consistent players on this cast. Where if you put her in a lot of games, she'll have a lot of chances to do well. I think those two are the ones that stand out to me as the most self aware, the most aware of others, and the most effective when they actually try to go do something. But I don't think she went to go to try to do something this episode. That's not how it read to me. I think she let other people take the reins. And that is maybe a good survivor skill to have. When you're in an alliance with two people that are getting a lot of heat, if you can survive longer than the two of them, boom, suddenly you're top 6, top 5. Maybe you're the last remaining person in that minority and you have a good chance to win the game.
So are you thinking middle of the road here on Soph?
I think she was middle of the road today. But if anything makes her complex, it's that she got some of the same content that she got before, which is why it's not really striking me. It's like, okay, you're a loyal person. Fine. Okay, you've got this advantage that no one knows about. That's cool. Okay, you like get information from places and go tell your people that you trust. Like, okay. It didn't break the mold for me for her.
It's all stuff we already knew, even though it's still like, it was still good content. It wasn't like anything new.
That was my take. But, you know, I think you could make a case that she's complex because I think those themes are complex. It just didn't, like, she did not stand out to me in this episode.
Well, speaking of Sophie, we have Sophie, the other one.
She didn't.
Hot diggity dog. I've been loving Sophie in this merge. Yeah. I don't give an F what anyone says. Whoever edited the pre-merge should get fired because Sophie Segretti is a freaking dynamo on this show. I think she's been so entertaining in this merge. And I think this was easily her best episode yet. I've been saying that for the past 4 weeks. She's been having her best episode. And this, I felt like she got so much. The thing that really stood out to me that I thought was a very fun edited scene was the scene where Steven says in confessionals, he was talking about Sophie, and he was like, Sophie is a classic example of someone that just doesn't wake up early enough or at the right time in the game and doesn't know what's going on and gets trampled over because of it or something like that. Cut to Sophie being like, I've woken up in this game, and Steven's my enemy, and I'm flipping and joining the other side, and I've stamped my ground. And I was like, yes, Sophie, holy shit. And I was like, everything that Steven was saying was just bounced right back on himself. And Sophie, was leading the charge here.
She had a great episode. It's unfortunate that her options are both bad. I don't think that she's in a good position, per se. But I guess between the lesser of two evils, I can understand why she went with the alliance that she did that hadn't betrayed her yet. She's clearly complex. She came out of nowhere. We didn't see anything from her until the merge. And she's very funny and she's very quick and she knows what she's doing. I wish we got to see her asleep at the wheel potentially a little bit more to see this wake up that she's claiming about. We didn't even see her, at the wheel necessarily. But I think she's got, enough in the tank to make it a little longer. But I think she's going to be a victim of people trying to get out a challenge beast. And she doesn't have anyone that's really willing to stick their neck out for her at all in this game anymore. No one in those other conversations is going to be having her back necessarily. They're just going to think about if they can use her and when they don't need her anymore. So her longevity is poor. But this episode was certainly complex and she was certainly visible. And I loved that for her because I don't like it when anybody gets completely purpled. I want to see what's going on with these people. And it was like Star last season where I was like, oh my God, where did you come from? This is awesome. Can't wait to see one more episode of this before you're gone.
I think, Star's a good example. I was definitely thinking, much later in the show, but similar to a Genevieve style of, all of a sudden, something clicks, and you went from, who the hell is that, to, wow, you're, the most dynamic person in the game right now. It happened a few episodes later than Genevieve, but, I just think it's been so interesting. I'm debating between a positive and a toneless, or a positive and a mixed tone here. There was definitely still some negative stuff. Again, like what I said, being thrown from Steven and maybe a little bit from Kristina. But I felt like it was bounced so much back onto those people. And it just felt like this episode was so about like Sophie like waking up and like doing the right stuff and making a stand. I'm thinking a complex personality positive here. Do you agree?
That's okay with me. I think that the one thing that I think she's doing wrong right now is it's so clear how upset she is.
That's true.
Easier said than done, right? But she's coming in, she's like, I can't believe they did that to me. Like, shut up. Like, if you really alienate them, there's no way you got a chance. I'm living for it because I want drama and I want people to do dumb things on Survivor. But I think that she's, really isolating herself from any option there. Intentionally, right? She doesn't want to work with them anymore. But you should always, even if you don't want to work with somebody anymore, you should always make it seem like you do. You should always at least like half-ass it. So that you have options in case things go wrong. But we didn't get any confessionals about people being upset about that reaction.
No, I mean, from what it might be more in confessional than we realize. Cause I mean, it definitely seemed that way from us, but I mean, we saw even late in the episode, Steven and Kristina were completely believed that she was on her side. We never once saw them doubt that she had flipped on them or anything. So,
but it was even at the reward, she made some comments while they were eating and brought it up out of nowhere. It's like the classic person that can't let something go. It's like, we're having a nice meal. And then suddenly she's like, can you believe they wanted me to go and how surprised they were? And it's like, okay, Sophie, I get it. Like, they hurt your feelings.
I agree. She does bring it up. But I mean, I guess the point is that I don't think it really mattered. Like, even though she's doing it, like, we haven't seen people care about that. So
I wonder who's her... At this point in the game, who's her closest ally? Like, I have no clue. Does she even have one that she trusts? Probably not.
I guess Rizo. Like, he's
shout out Rizo.
We've seen the most talk about them being aligned, I guess. And then we got the big scene of her talking to Sophie and Savannah this episode as well.
He did scoop. I mean, I think he did like scoop her up, as people say, in allies effectively. And I think that she feels like he's her best chance right now at having some type of distance in this game. So,
which finally brings us to Steven this episode. Strange episode for Steven. I felt like he got multiple really weird moments. I would say I'm definitely going in the over the top range. Not because he had the most visibility, but because he had like at least 3 scenes that were like so strange. We got him in the challenge where he had a big montage of saying all the space facts. We had him with the chickens and he was hearing like the haunting, he was having nightmares about the chickens or whatever. And they were like pecking at the camera. We had the scene I just talked about with Sophie that felt like really was like a kind of over the top, like dunking on him type scene. We even had at Tribal, him like doing the whole pick a metaphor, Jeff thing, which was crazy. So I'm not sure what tone was going on here, but it was definitely an over the top weird episode for Steven.
He is goofy, like so goofy. We saw so many things from him this episode that brought personality to him in a way that I enjoyed. Although none of them made me love him necessarily.
That's true.
Like, it was not a Christian Hubicki moment in the episode where I was like, oh, this is so endearing. I was like, okay.
We even have Jeff be like, hey, Steven, shut up. I'm trying to do my job here. Like, he would not have said that to Christian.
This is a shout out to anyone applying to Survivor out there. Did you see Jeff's little smile, his big smile, when Stephen offered him up 2 metaphors at Tribal Council that he got to pick between? Oh my God, that's Jeff's dream. Jeff was so excited. This guy loves metaphors. This guy loves Survivor, and he loves a Survivor metaphor. So when Stephen gave him 2, you're like, okay, I see why this guy got cast. He went into his interview with Jeff and offered up 3 metaphors. They landed on space and made him the space guy. It's awesome. So
not the kangaroo guy.
That was hilarious. I actually laughed out loud. That was so weird and so random that he said kangaroo. Then Jeff picked it, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't have that one prepared." I was like,
"Jeff, I'm the space guy. I thought you were going to pick the space one."
I was like, "That is so much better than him doing another space metaphor. We already got a space metaphor or space facts or his space time this episode. I'm glad Jeff picked kangaroo. The fact that he didn't have anything to say about kangaroos, he couldn't even ad lib one, was so funny to me.
It saved the moment for me a bit when he didn't have the other metaphor. But then when he actually started saying the space metaphor, I completely tuned out. I don't remember what the space metaphor was at all. So
yes. Oh, I forgot that he did. You're commenting on it now. I thought he just moved on.
No, I think he gave a space metaphor, but I don't know what it was.
Of course he did. Jeff wouldn't let him get away without doing a metaphor.
I'm thinking an over-the-top mix probably on this episode for Steven, because I do think that there was some positivity. I think the chicken moment kind of tried to make him like an endearing, fun character, but then there's definitely a lot of negativity, kind of painting him again as kind of the opposition, not in like a villainous, schemey way, just in like a almost doofusy way of like, hey, we get like take this guy down. He doesn't know what's going on right now.
We've been getting a lot of strategy from him for a couple of episodes. Certainly when he was on the Swap Tribe, and like with this new alliance he built with Sage and Jawan. I think he really avoided his danger zone when he got a couple of votes, and there was a chance for him to go home. I think that everybody's got a danger zone in Survivor. He just got past his, and now he's got his kind of like second chance here. And today was all goofy. We didn't get like any strategy from him. I don't think maybe we heard that he felt good in his relationship with Jawan and Sage, potentially. But I don't think we got much other than that. The person that was running the strategy on that side was Kristina. So
we saw him tell Sage about Kristina's idol.
That was a good moment for him, actually, because I think he's smart enough to recognize that even though his ship's bigger than the other ship, his ship's kind of sinking a little bit and he needs to have options. And so he's going to be, I can confidently predict that he will be the last yellow tribe person standing.
I'm confident he's top 2.
Who's the other one you're considering?
It's
Yellow
not
Sophie?
Kristina. I think Yellow Sophie might be here for a while. If Steven ends up being like a big, like he could be like a big 6th place boot or 7th place, like this is the big move potentially, and then Yellow Sophie I could see getting taken out in 5th or 4th in the finale. But I do think Steven's got more longevity than I gave him credit for last week.
He I think it's reasonable to think Yellow Sophie will make it further. I think he makes it further. I think he's got better connections with the people still in the game than she does. I think she doesn't have anybody really. She's a lone agent in the worst possible way. And he's at least got an alliance with the 2 most powerful people in the game that are controlling the votes right now. And I don't think they'll let him be the name that comes up. I think Sophie's name will continue to come up. And I mean, she's a challenge comp piece too, in a way that he's not getting credit for, even though he's good at all of them. So
the problem is that I don't think that Sage and Jawan are the power people controlling the votes anymore, because now it's kind of 4-4 at the 8. I mean, it seems like Yellow Sophie has completely joined with that trio of Savannah, Sophie, and Rizo. And so as long as those 4 vote together, I think that all the people on the other side have really lost their power. And it seems like the people that are starting to gain the power, which were formerly the underdogs, don't really care about Steven at all. It seems like they all care more about Jawan and Sage than they do about him. So I think, again, similar to Kristina, he's playing better than Kristina, but his relationships, I think, are just with the wrong people as the dynamics of the game shift. So, I mean, we'll see.
I can see it.
So we move to the Contender Rankings. Alex, he's been high on my list for a long time. I had him 4th. He was number 2 at one point, down to 3, 4, 3rd. He's always been in the top 4. Mostly because he had such a strong opening that I just felt like a lot of people that made the merge did not have very strong openings that kept Alex afloat for a long time for me. And I think that I'm starting to consider the openings a little bit more right now as the edit starts to balance back to, I feel like, kind of where we were early on almost, as things shift. But I think we have a pretty clear last place here. Do you have disagreement?
I think it continues to be Kristina.
Yeah. I mean, not the worst premiere of everyone left, but certainly not like a great premiere. She's been consistently getting the least content. She had a great week here, but I think it probably is spelling her doom soon. I've been thinking for a while, I was like, I kind of just need Kristina to go. Not because I dislike her, but just because it's just like, she's just kind of clogging up the Edgic of that, like, I know she is not winning in any sense. I don't even think she's making the finale. So can she just leave so I can have a little bit more like debate of what's going to happen? But yeah, I think she's a clear last place here. Now, this is where I think that we are likely to disagree because I want to change who's second last.
2.
Steven.
I think that that's reasonable. If we're doing winner power rankings versus longevity rankings, Sophie's edit has more upside than Steven's. However, I think they both lose, and I think she loses first. So
that's fair. I do think Steven is way more likely to be second place than Yellow Sophie is. But I do think Yellow Sophie has a little bit of upside of like everyone thought Genevieve was going to win 47. And it's kind of like Genevieve's not going to win because she was like had 0 confessionals for like the first 3 episodes. And I mean, Sophie is a little more extreme than that. I just think that she is being painted as like joining like the good side, quote unquote. Not necessarily in like heroes versus villains, but in the sense that like joining the people you're supposed to be rooting for. Whereas Steven, I think, has been pushed further into he's the enemy and you shouldn't want Steven to win, really, even though he's been very involved strategically. So that's why
I will be shocked if either of them win.
And I also don't think it matters that much, and I love Sophie, so I want to give her a boost just for fun.
You can go ahead and give her a boost. Steven can be second to last because I don't foresee him winning. I just don't. I don't foresee Sophie winning either, and I think I would probably put her next on this list.
Yeah, she's definitely next on the list. I mean, I'm not going to put her in the top 5, but I just think
absolutely. You go ahead.
I just think she's had such a unbelievable upswing, like as good as it possibly could have been at this point in the game. That I mean, if she continues on this trajectory, again, I don't think she's gonna win, but I'm starting to be like, you know what? If she does win, I might actually be satisfied. As dissatisfying as her early edit was, if she keeps up what she's had for the past 3 episodes, I'd be like, hey, that's a sick story.
I don't know. We'll see. If she wins, I'd be very frustrated with the free merge edit. But
no, I agree. She just might win a pick, and I wanted to win.
I fear for you.
I know.
As we move on, having Rizo this low and this big of a gap from Savannah is actually sacrilege that you've had him this far from Savannah the entire season.
I agree. Rizo is absolutely moving up. I want to move Sage down to 5th.
I was going to say Sage.
Wow, awesome. Man, Carson, this is great. This is exactly what happened last season. That I come off of the episode with Josiah, and I'm like, Josiah disagreed with everything. I'm like, great, this is gonna happen with Carson. And then me and Carson end up agreeing on everything. And it's like, I totally thought we were gonna be on opposite pages here.
I do not see Sage in a better position to win this game than the 3-person advantage alliance, and I don't see her to have a better chance to win than Jawan.
Yeah,
so I think
Jawan has absolutely taken over the strategic narration between the two. I think Sage has just kind of taken a back foot here. And I mean, I said this at the time when Shannon left, that I was like, I said I was a little bit worried. I was like, I feel like really her only story and what's been going on is her feud with Shannon. And now that Shannon's gone, Sage could kind of go at any time. And although we did get set up for like this continued rivalry with Savannah now, I don't think Sage is going to win that rivalry for one. Absolutely not, really. And and her content has decreased in a way that, like, again, I'm like, I feel like she could kind of go at any point. She could be the next boot. She could be fourth place. I don't know, but I don't really think that she's got the winner edit, especially since she was so low at the beginning of the season. She hasn't kept up the trajectory that she needed to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, when one of Jawan or Sage goes home, I expect it to be Sage first, just based on the edit and based on how other people talk about the players out there. And so for that reason alone, she's got to be lower on the rankings than Jawan for me.
Now, the next, I'm willing to be influenced here. I'm willing to hear. You let me have the Sophie over Steven. So what do you want next?
This is very tough because Rizo to me screams contender. He doesn't necessarily scream winner. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been getting the same type of personality content, hearing about his home life, hearing about what matters to him outside of this game, that players like Savannah and Jawan have received in this game. And I think that we almost always get that type of content from our winner. Just because I believe that he's one of the best players on this cast doesn't necessarily make me think he's going to win the game based on the edit. So I think where I'm struggling is where to put Sophie in this group of four, because I'm debating on putting her fourth or third personally in my winner rankings.
And here's where we disagree. We could get to Sophie, but I would definitely. It seemed like you were talking about putting Rizo fourth potentially. I would want to keep Rizo at fourth. I do think he does give a bit of dragon energy, as they call it. His edit has just kind of been all over the place in a inconsistent way. In that, in some episodes he's the strategic mastermind. In other episodes he's barely there at all. In other episodes he's this total goofball that's crying over the puzzle. And it's just been I think they want you to love him and make him an iconic character and think that he's a good player, but maybe a little bit in a baby Andy mold a little bit. And I think even Andy, was more of a contender than Rizo was at this point.
I disagree kind of heartily. I think you're being bogged down by the same things that made you think Alex was a contender with Sophie. Just because her tribe had to get a ton of content in the beginning and she's one of the people that survived it doesn't mean she goes deep in this game. I think the whole blue tribe gets executed in the early pre-merge. I think she's got maybe a couple more of these left. I think when the trio loses a member, I think it will be Sophie. So for that reason, I'm considering putting her fourth and third. Neither one of them, I think, has gotten all that much personal content, all that much we see them beyond the game, which is why I would personally put Savannah and Jawan in my top two. But if you want to do Rizo on four, it's your show. I think he outlasts Sophie, though.
I disagree. I do not think Rizo outlasts Sophie. Yeah. I think Sophie has more potential runner-up energy than Rizo does.
Maybe with the loyalty conversation she's giving losing at Final Tribal Council, but I have a hard time seeing her lose at Final Tribal Council if she's there.
I have a hard time seeing Rizo lose at Final Tribal Council, more so than Sophie.
I guess that's true. Agreed. He goes further. No.
I'm putting Rizo at fourth, but this debate is now. I'll say it. I was completely ready to move Sophie back up to the #1 spot this episode.
Absolutely not. We didn't get anything from her.
I thought we got good stuff. I just think she's had such consistent winner type content. I've constantly understood where she's at in the game, who she wants to work with, why she makes the decisions she wants to make. I just think she's not had the most content in the past couple episodes, maybe for external reasons, but I feel like she's just constantly been there. I've really only had one episode that was like, ooh, that wasn't a great episode for her. And I mean, she wasn't the forefront of this episode, but she didn't need to be. She can rise easily back up at the final 7, final 6, and become the top person again. We've had winners in recent memory that, laid very low key at this point in the game. We never learned anything about Rachel. She was just kind of consistently there enough. She probably got a little bit bigger of an edit by this point. We still never really learned about her personally. I am willing to put her at 3 since you're here today if you want. But I do think that she has not had the negative tone that Jawan and Savannah have both had. She's always been either toneless or positive, which I think is a very consistent thing for a winner style edit. And I just think that she's clearly the person that they want the fans to root for.
Potentially. I do think that she's top 3 in our winner power rankings for a reason. I think just between the 3 of them, she's 3rd for me. I really foresee her going in 7th place, maybe 6th place. I really don't see her being in the finale episode. Just based on my read on how they edited the Blue Tribe, how they edited her relationships with people. She's getting positive content, but I think she's in a backseat role compared to the other members of her alliance, which I think will be, the ones that actually win the thing. I think she'll be in the Nate position at some point where she was getting good content. We liked her, but she gets cut and is one of the people that we lose on the way to crowning our champion from that alliance.
That's fair. I think the Nate comparison is fair. What about the Blue Tribe edit makes you think that none of them will go far?
It's hard to explain. We've had a disaster tribe so many times in the new era, and you can just get a sense whether the disaster tribe is going to peter out or whether they're going to be the true contenders. And I think that I got the sense that this one would peter out based on how much content we got from the red tribe during the pre-merge alongside their disaster. And her not having any conversation with Alex and getting a big moment there, it just showcases, I think, how the dynamics from Blue in the beginning were really not important. And if the dynamics from Blue in the beginning weren't important at all, probably means that the winners from the tribe, that was the complex tribe, which in my opinion was the red tribe. Yeah.
That's it. I do think that there was importance in red, but I think that, I think that Blue had a lot of dynamics as well. We got so much of Rizo, Jake is in the middle between Alex and Sophie, and Sophie's feuding, and Sophie wants to steal Alex's idol, but she's actually number ones with Jeremiah, and they want to vote out Alex, but they can't. And Alex is with Annie, which was a weird plot line that we forget about. I felt like there's a lot of stuff going on with them. Looking at the confessionals, they had quite a bit. Alex had the most for the first 2 episodes. Sophie had the most for the 3rd episode.
And she will meet the same fate that Alex did.
And
random drop off.
I could be way wrong, but my episode 1, my top 5 were all Blue, with Savannah being the only exception. So, that could be my bad, but I think compared to Vula last season, they were way better than Vula. Vula was a terrible disaster tribe that clearly wasn't going to win, but I don't know. I still feel like they were better than Lulu in terms of content.
They had some good episodes, certainly.
You're kind of comparing it to a Lulu trajectory, I suppose.
I guess I'm thinking back to like even season 41,
We do. I
um,
mean, Uwa is a good comparison. I
where it's
think.
like I think that these two are going deep in this game. I don't think they're stragglers. If I think of Shannon Ricard,
Yeah.
um, I think I'm not shocked that we saw Alex go as a random vote here, quote unquote. And I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Sophie for the same reasons soon. She's very closely knit with a couple of important people,
Hmm.
and maybe she just catches a stray.
I can see what you mean in the comparison that her edit has cooled down a little bit. It's petered out a little bit similar to Alex. And I mean, particularly for Sophie, I've been predicting that means that, she's cooling down now and she'll get hot again. But it could just be that she slowly dwindles and then she kind of goes out in that random spot.
I would love
So
it if she got hot again. Like if her idol steal was super impactful and then she like really rises and she ends up like a first or fourth type of situation. I actually think that'd be really satisfying. I think I'd love that ending of the season. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just haven't got the at home content for her. I haven't got that in the votes where they're like managing this minority. I haven't got that she's been like super present in that or a big part of that. I just haven't seen the winners at it.
all right, we'll put her at 3. We'll put her at 3.
Versus like two people above her who I think have gotten these are flawed people, but they're like potential winners at it.
Um, I want to talk about Jawan, but I want to put Jawan at 2 before we do that. Do you disagree?
I agree.
Um, I think that Jawan, this was such an interesting episode for Jawan for me, in that he kept talking about like me and Sage are in a power position and I'm like the most powerful player here and whatnot. And I'm like making the decisions. And I was so like conflicted on whether this was, oh, this is like good for him and like he is actually way more of a contender than we realized, or if it was, you're not really in the best spot because Rizzo and Savannah are kind of duping you, and you're like kind of getting played right now, and you end up being someone that either loses at the end or loses in fire making or something like that because
Mm-hmm.
Rizzo and Savannah have outplayed you, and you thought you were in the best position, but you weren't, and you end up uh, like in second or third place. But I do think like that the content is there. He's gotten a lot of content. What you're a big Jawan head. What do you think?
Maybe it's recency bias and the like extremely positive personal stuff that happened this episode that made me feel like he is somebody that they want us to root for. But I think that even in the back, like first few episodes, when he was getting in trouble for putting sticks in bags and stuff, I didn't read that as like a particularly negative edit. Some people did. They thought that it like made it seem like he didn't know what he was doing and goofy and Savannah's like dragging him and stuff. I think he would potentially be a great underdog story edit. I do think Savannah wins. Like that's my instinct. However, I could see him getting to the end and not winning. I could see him getting fourth place. I can see the exit confessional where he talks about his siblings and he talks about like how he played for them and he came up just short, or how proud he is that he secured the win. The only thing that's maybe holding me back is this idea that he's like manipulable, and that he's being outplayed by other players like Rizzo or Savannah or their alliance, in a way that means that he's going to suffer the consequences for not taking agency of his game in a way that's beneficial to just him and not these other people. Um, to me, it's like a similar boat to Sophie, where like I feel pretty secure edit wise, and that Savannah is going to win. So it like for both of these people, I'm like trying to notice where they're missing their bits and pieces, and so if it is Savannah, our conversation on between the two of them isn't like that important, because neither of them do, and we were right. Maybe he's lower than Sophie. and your instinct is right that she's got a better chance to win this game than him based on the dynamics at play in the tribe right now. But I'm just trying to look at like Witter edit qualities as well, and I think he's got a lot of them for somebody that's not on the red side of things. But also, he's technically on the right side of things. Like, I don't foresee him being any of the next three boots, and then I foresee Sage going before him, and so like I don't know, he's going to be in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think that Sophie is more likely. She's been more consistent, but Jawan is in a big upswing. I'm loving Jawan right now. It's fine.
If
That's the fun
either,
of
I
having
mean,
a guest on.
right. Yeah, maybe Jawan bops back down after this, and that's totally fine. Sophie deserves to be in the top three. I think there's a hearty debate you can make between the two of them for second and third, edit wise. Um, and yeah, I don't think either of them win. I think Savannah's going to win. So
And
that's why she's number
I
one.
mean, with Savannah, I mean, what else is there to be said? We've said plenty. But
I know what I
we
want to say,
go ahead.
that a Savannah win would be a kind of weak win if she ends up getting through it. Sorry to throw her into the likes of the comp beasts, but I
It's
think that her
just
social game and strategic game have been weak compared to some of the other players on this cast. I think it has been a lucky comp driven survival for her for a little bit here. And I think it's a pretty significant blemish to her winning resume if she's, because I'm not someone who loves advantages and challenge performances as the way to win Survivor. If that's the way that she wins Survivor, congrats on your $1,000,000. Who cares what this guy's opinion is? But it is not as impressive to me as people who really manage the game effectively. I think that she is not the strongest winner of the new era if she ends up getting through to the end of this and winning the thing. But I do think that the edit is showing us a lot of good moments for her. I think we've got a ton of content from her. She's checking all of my boxes for being the winner from an edit perspective. I'm just assessing her game and saying it's not my favorite.
That's fair. I mean, I think that she had a very good pre-merge. It seemed like she was the person on her original tribe that everyone wanted to work with. We didn't hear people talking the crap about her back on Uli that we see like the Hina people talking about her. She was like the one person that was in every version of the core four, at least that we saw. I mean, she obviously is struggling at the moment, but I think like I compare her to like a Rachel in the new era
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, who was in a similar like bottom of the totem pole comp beast position. And I think that Savannah had a stronger pre-merge than Rachel had, and B, better connections with the people she does have than like Rachel had, where maybe she has a lot of people that don't necessarily like her, but the people she has really like her and are really with her in the form of Rizo and Sophie, and maybe the other Sophie is starting to get there too. And so I think in some ways, if she does get to the end and she gets all of the original Hinas to vote for her, that's pretty impressive. And it's like, hey, they didn't even like her, but they viewed her as such a threat, and she got to the end and they had to vote for her anyways.
Yeah, she also has many episodes left to impressive things that changed my mind on her as a player. I just, don't love a comp, advantage based win. And that's just my personal preference. I think Rachel's a great comparison because did Rachel earn her win? 1000%. I think everybody that wins their season earns their win. Is she one of my favorite winners ever? No, she's not. I'd much rather see somebody outmaneuver, out logic, and out social, you know, the other competitors than win the challenges at the right time. But there's a lot of ways to win Survivor, and I didn't design it. And you get your $1,000,000 no matter what. So, who wants to listen to the talking heads? Anyways,
All right, so that is the contender rankings. I'll copy over the top five, which I feel fine leaving as the top five because they're clearly above the other three.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people usually just start cutting it down over the course of the season, but I just leave it at the top 5 in my position most of the time because why not? So finally, just any predictions we have to talk about for the future of the season and what may or may not happen next week. Last week, I predicted that Steven would be the boot this week. I was wrong about that. Steven won immunity, so that messed up a little bit. But I was a little bit disappointed in that I feel like this season has done a really bad job of just explicitly telling us who's going home next in the next time on Survivor segment. It's happened at least 5 times. It happened definitely with Annie. It happened with Jake. I would say it probably happened with Shannon. It definitely happened with Matt. And I would say it's happened now with Alex. It's maybe even happened other times. I don't remember. But yeah, so that's been disappointing me. I don't really think the next time on Survivor gave us a ton. I remember being big shocked faces. It definitely seemed like Sage and Savannah are at each other's throats next episode again, but that's nothing really new. So what are you thinking for what's coming down the pipeline?
We saw that clip of shocked faces from the jury at Tribal Council. I think we finally get an advantage next week, and I think it is the steal and idol advantage. I think that Sophie's going to play it next week. I don't think we're seeing that reveal from Rizzo's idol. I think we're seeing it somehow. Sophie gets through the grapevine. Kristina has an idol. Oh, sure, he knows. Because Steven told Sage about Kristina's idol. It's getting back to Sophie that Kristina has an idol and she takes it at Tribal Council. That's my formal prediction. Tomorrow, next week, next episode.
I mostly agree. That was my first instinct on what I thought was most likely to happen. I do think that I had one other idea of a possibility of something that could happen, in that I thought that if the shocked faces is not at that advantage, I don't think it's at Rizzo's idol. I don't even think that would really be probably worth shocking faces. And so I think that the other possibility is Savannah's extra vote. I mentioned earlier that it seems like we're kind of in a 4-4 split now, vaguely. And so I think it's possible that maybe we get the two sides of 4 voting for each other. And then everyone thinks, oh, it's tied. And then Jeff goes, but wait, there's one more vote. And then they're like, what? There's one more vote? And then it's Savannah's vote, and they vote out one of the people that aren't on Savannah's side. So I think that those are probably the two most likely options. I do think we're probably getting an advantage getting played. Okay, apologies. We had some technical difficulties, and so that's where the conversation had to end because of that. But basically, I think that next week we are likely looking at one of two scenarios, which is either Kristina's idol is stolen by Soph, and Kristina's probably voted out immediately, I would assume, or it is a 5-4 vote with the extra vote, and probably that means that Sage goes home. We could also have the idol be stolen and then Sage goes home, but I think we're probably looking at one of those two leaving next week. I don't think it's Steven anymore. I mean, it could be if we're looking at a really crazy vote, but it seems like we're getting a lot of setup for either Sage or Kristina going home next week. I think the next 3 boots are probably those 3, Kristina, Steven, and Sage. Steven's probably the one I'm least confident in. I do think that he is maybe looking at a better, deeper run. Maybe he could be a finalist, maybe like a 0 vote finalist, or even a second place if things really get shaken up crazy. But yeah, Carson seemed to think that Soph might be going home soon. I mean, it's not impossible if we really think it's a crazy season, but I'm not super confident in it. I would expect it to be Rizo if one of those three fall personally. But either way, super fun to get to talk to Carson. Had a really good time. If you enjoyed this video, please press the subscribe button and click the bell so you're notified every single week I come back on here. I do all this Edgic stuff every week, sometimes by myself, sometimes with a guest. We mix it up and have a lot of fun. Also, go check out Survivor Northwestern Into the Gauntlet. New episode just dropped this week. It's been getting really good reviews. I think people are really enjoying it. I personally think it's a very good episode in the season, so definitely go check that out. We really appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I will see you all next week. I have been North. Stay frosty, y'all.